In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. We have a group that's coming in, so we'll wait for them to settle in. Because this topic is difficult. And I thought it would be difficult is rather than challenge your mind, rather than give you something childish and simple. This is complicated, so I want you to be awake, because it will answer some questions and it will not be answered all tonight, but I want you to scratch your brain very, very, very hard as we talk. I'll try to make it easy, and if it's not totally easy for your understanding, but at least it will make us think about it. Let's not play with the projector. So, the topic of the retreat, are you guys, can you hear me well? Okay. We'll start the topic of the convention or the retreat. It's actually, Abuna Abraham did a wonderful, wonderful job of coming up with this. And basically I'm helping here. We ask you that you follow the slides one by one and think of the questions that will be there. So before we start, we have to ask the following question. It's called iEvangelist. So the letter I means you. And these are important questions that we have to answer, because you're going to talk people into accepting Christ. Before this, people connect with people, not with information. So you have to have the experience. You have to know who God is and who you are. So it's a little bit scientific about, can life exist? Can you exist without God's existence? I'm not talking about the creation. I'm talking about, does your life have a meaning? Does your life have a value? Does your life have a purpose? These three things will answer them tonight as well. One of them tonight. So, if somebody asks you who you are, what would your answer be? Raise your hand and say, somebody says, define yourself. How would you define yourself? Yes.
I'm a Catholic Orthodox Christian.
Okay. What else? Define yourself, yes. Huh? God's creation. Very good. I'm looking for more of these definitions, not for the religious definition. Because we need to establish to a non-believer, which is the hardest people to talk to, how you exist if God doesn't exist. Because the concept that God is not there to begin with. So saying I'm Coptic Orthodox will not click with anybody. And that's why I'm saying this is hard tonight. It's very easy to preach to another Christian. I decided to give you this year the difficult one. And if you get it, it will help you so much in school before you get into high school. And I'm not getting into science yet. This might be the retreat of next year. But I'm getting into philosophy in order to know yourself, in order to convince an atheist that he cannot exist without God's existence. So we'll give some stuff here. Okay, who you are again? Can you define yourself besides God's creation? Yes, people.
I am me.
I am me, okay. Yes? I am Yusuf. Okay, now we'll get into more specific. Anybody who wants to define who they are, you can use God for sure. I'm not saying to remove this, because you find it easy to define yourself with God's existence, yes. I'm what? You're a Christian, very good. Okay, let me ask you this question. Somebody said, I'm God's creation. If God doesn't exist, what would you be? What would you be if God is not there? What would you be? You would not be even created. But somebody claims that you would be.
You would be dove.
So how are you going to convince him that? Somebody says, no, I am existing without God's existence. How are you going to talk to him about this? They say the date, but I agree with you 100%. But I'm trying to put now how you can answer correctly. Very, very good answer. But how would you come into existence if God doesn't exist? But some people say, no, we existed by accident. So if God doesn't exist, you existed by accident. All of a sudden you came into existence because nobody created you. Does that make any sense? Believe it or not, to many people it makes sense, and that's a problem. And you're going to see these people in school that they live very well that God doesn't exist, which means that you came by accident. Okay. If I define faith, what is the definition of faith? To believe in something. What's your name? Rafael. To believe in something. What else is a definition of faith? Or is there any else definition of faith?
To believe in something that you haven't seen.
Very good. And that's why atheists challenge us to believe in something that you believe it is true, but you have not seen it. As the Lord Jesus Christ, to whom is the glory, told St. Thomas, blessed are those who believe and have not what? Have not seen. Okay, very good. What else? Anybody has a definition for faith? What is faith? Yes, Lord. Trusting. Very good. Trusting in God, although He's invisible, but trusting in Him. And life has much more comfort and peace when there is God who arranges it than just everything is by accident. Tomorrow and after tomorrow we'll have more talks about this, like Mother Nature, Cosmos, Universe, other things that people say are not God, but we're going to prove to you that these are God in another way. But we'll take it step by step. Have you met anybody who has doubts about God's existence?
Yes.
Okay, I need your stories about this. I want to listen to you more. Anybody has a story about meetings? What was the conversation, or what did he say, or whatever? Because this will make it very practical. Guys, let's have one conversation here. Anybody wants to share a story about meeting someone who does not believe in God? Yes, I see a hand there. What's your name, sir? Makari. Okay, Makari, go ahead. Said what? It doesn't make sense. Can you guys follow? Because today and tomorrow we're going to try to make it make sense to you. You know it, but it has to be convincing to others. Somebody. We cannot just say it doesn't make sense. We're going to prove that their idea doesn't make sense. So please pay very strong attention, because one day, if you're a friend of one of those people, you might be convinced that God doesn't make sense. There is, unfortunately, some cases of people who believed and went and said, I don't believe anymore. And I'm talking about Coptic Christian people. Okay, Rafael.
My robotics teacher, she used to be Catholic, but now she doesn't believe that there is God.
His robotics teacher, she used to be Catholic, but now she refused it. So, very good. What else? Yes.
An atheist kid at my school. There was an atheist kid at my school, and I was wearing a retreat jacket. And then he was like, I don't believe in that. I was like, well, I do.
Okay. Do you think the answer, well, I do, is convincing? Yes? No, we have to be deeper than this. Yes, Lawrence.
There's this one atheist guy at my school.
Speak in the microphone, because we're recording it. Closer, yes.
And
Can you start from the beginning?
okay, so there's this one atheist kid at my school, and he saw that I was Christian. He asked me, "How do you think God?" Like I asked him, "How do you think God or how we were made?" And he said, "Apes or like monkeys." And then I told him, "How do you think the monkeys were made?" And then I think he just stopped talking because he started like thinking about it.
Very good. Very good. Excellent. Do not take the answer that because somebody doesn't believe in God, he's smarter. Please, Makari, can you come away from the chair? Just leave that place completely, because I need you to look here. It's gonna be very, very useful to know. I'm not talking about science yet. Science is very convincing, but I'm taking the harder thing which is philosophical, because some people, even that have background in arts and whatever, they use more suffering and evil and existence. I can support myself and eternity without God, without science. So we have to be able to do both. Science is very convincing. It's easy to do it. Actually, robotics is one of the best fields that can be used to prove God's existence, but it's not the topic for tonight. I have a very good argument for this. Yes? Is it Yusuf?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me and my friend were talking about, like, we're having like a stupid argument about how Christians are better than Catholics. And then this atheist kid walked by, and he was like, what are you guys talking about? And he wasn't really an atheist, and didn't even know what God was.
Yusuf, can you come here? I want you to speak in the microphone because we're recording it. I'm interested in your story. I just are you okay? Okay. Abuna's hurting me. No. Okay, say it to everybody. Anybody who wants to share a story like this, it's very relevant, it's very important.
So me and my friend, we were having like an argument about how Christians are better than Catholics, and then a kid walked by and he was like, "What are you guys talking about?" But he wasn't really an atheist because he didn't even know what God was. And then I told him that God is like the ultimate creator, and he was like, "But what about the Big Bang Theory?" And then I told him that you can believe whatever you want, but the Big Bang Theory doesn't really exist because it's crazy to believe it. And I told him that you need Jesus.
Okay. Okay. In fact, the Big Bang Theory exists. God created the world by the Big Bang Theory. And as I said, we can talk science till tomorrow. Maybe I can prepare something quickly. But I can show you a video about the Big Bang. The problem is that they start the Big Bang Theory after it happens. But they never mention how it happens. They start at t equals 0 plus 100 trillionth of a second. But this distance, or this small time, is what God did by the Big Bang Theory. In fact, the book of Genesis says, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. And if you read the church fathers, St. Basil, St. John Chrysostom, St. Gregory of Nyssa, they say the impetus means strong event, happened in this world. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. So God created the world. One of the theories that we can accept as God created the world by is the Big Bang Theory. God made it. And if you see any video on YouTube or anywhere about Big Bang Theory, they start describing always after it happens. None of them explains how matter had this explosion or how the explosion happened. None of the videos. So they ignore, and then people get lost into the details. I can accept any theory afterwards, but nobody tries, and because they cannot explain how these things happen, time and space, how was it existed. It just, Big Bang Theory happened, and then they explain. Anything they put afterwards, I accept it. It's a theory, I don't mind it. But no one touches how it happened. So God did, if we use the Big Bang as the model of creation, the Big Bang. And then there's another presentation how the Genesis works afterwards, but it's not for this retreat, unfortunately. Yes. We can stay in questions. That's much better than talking, but because I want to hear what you guys have in mind.
He said that there's no evidence for God, but there's evidence for the Big Bang Theory, and that atheists, there's no such thing as God.
Okay. The fact that an atheist says there is no evidence for God and there is evidence for Big Bang does not let him get away with denying God. Because evidence for something that is caused by someone does not remove the person. You see a car, a Mercedes car, a BMW. You can say there is evidence for BMW, but I haven't seen the designer of it, so there is no existence of the designer of the BMW. I see the car, so the car exists, but the one who designed it doesn't exist. Does that make any sense? So the Big Bang is an event that happened at time equals 0. They say that. The designer dies is another problem. But why wouldn't he die? Because you cannot create something bigger than yourself. If the world is going to exist for a very long time, the designer has to be existing because if he's able to create something that exists for a very long time, then he has in his capacity to put long time in it. How can you put long time in something if you don't own it? You see what I'm trying to say? So, this is very good questions. Yes, sir.
They said they found the evidence of an explosion on a rock.
How did the explosion happen? Who caused it? Explosion means things coming together to explode. Where are these things coming from? Lawrence said it in a very simple way. We're coming from apes. Where are apes from? You can track it back to some chemistry. Now, Yusuf, I'm talking to you. You can track it back to some chemistry. The question still stands. Where did the chemistry come from? At some point, something existence, they cannot run away from the fact that something existed without something causing it, and they cannot explain this. So they always start after it happens. But they never explain how the material got together to make it happen. And that's God. Very simple, that's God. Yes, sir. Your name? You have a story? Or a question?
It's a story.
Come and say it here. Just because we're recording, it's going to benefit everybody, believe me. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. You guys can say that, as long as you're guessing correctly, you can say the silliest thing, as long as it's not just joking. Nothing will sound stupid, because it can come up with an argument. But don't be scared when somebody says it doesn't exist, because God is invisible. Sometimes it's harder for us to prove His existence, but actually it's not. People are blinding themselves from it, but we'll talk about it.
Me and my Bible study class, we went to watch the movie God's Not Dead, and he tried to prove the existence of God in front of his teacher, who was an atheist, and it explains part of the Big Bang Theory.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Yes. Your name? See your name.
And my name is Andrew, and in my class we were taking philosophy, and then
Too early for philosophy.
we saw this one video about this one person who's in philosophy. She went to like a class of little kids, and then they asked her philosophy questions, and one of them said, if God created us, who created God?
Okay.
And in that movie, God Not Dead, they were also explaining how philosophers proved the evidence of that, how God is real. It was kind of tracked in a book or quotes the whole time, and they would say in the beginning, sometimes in the book they would say something, and towards the end they would find out that how did that happen, so God would be real.
Okay. Thank you. Who created God is a very, very silly way of getting out of it, to be, because they have to answer first who created the Big Bang. How it happened. How it happened, not what happened after it happened, or the events. So let's get into it a little bit. Man, not any animal, only man, only you guys, has learned to ask questions. Who am I? Where? Why? Not where. Why am I here? Man is the only creation that questions everything related to his existence, if they really want to get to deep conclusions. As a result of the modern human enlightenment, anybody knows about Europe in the 16th, 17th century? It's called the Enlightenment period. Do you know about it, Kiko?
It was basically many breakthroughs in science were happening, and actually I know how I also found out during the lesson how somebody said how science could speak with religion, like believing in God, it's called deism, I think. I don't know, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is this is the most dangerous period that happened in the world, because as being enlightened with science, they were in the process of removing religion. Actually, Isaac Newton did a very nice thing to convince a friend of his about the existence of God. He built a small model of the universe in his room, like some planets, some Earth, the sun, and so on. And then his atheist friend came and visited him. And the atheist friend asked him, "Who made this?" So Newton told him, "It just existed." "No, really, who made this?" And he said, "It just existed." And the atheist person was convinced. Very simple. When you see it in front of you, the vast universe, and a scientist talking to a scientist, again, unfortunately today it will not be much about science, but this is not because of lack of knowledge. Believe me, science, there's tons of stuff we can talk about. He told them, the atheist friend realized there is no way this organized model that Isaac Newton did, and I came and asked him specifically who made it, and he said, it came into non-existence, and this is exactly what I'm thinking about. And he turned into believing what this scientist believe in. So the Enlightenment period, unfortunately, resulted in getting rid of God. The answers about human origin comes in the following theme. You are the result of reason and non-eternity. You are the result of matter and time, and the only thing is sure that awaits you is death. If you guys think about it, you are an accident, going to die. That's it. This is exactly what an atheist lives by. Is this a good, exciting way to live? Because if God doesn't exist, you're an accident. You did not come, you're like a big bang. Because nobody designed you. Nobody organized you. Is it natural to think that God really is not there, and you're a result of an accident, and then the accident will end into dying? So, when you get rid of God, you become an orphan. For example, if your parents are not there, you seek to find a parent figure. You seek to find somebody you can get advice from. Nobody orphans himself. We can't live as orphans. There is always someone, I want him to take care of me, and I love that person. So man, unfortunately, these atheists, they like to live as orphans. Very simple thing. If you ask an atheist, for example, his mother died, should he put his mother's picture at home? An atheist's mother dies, somebody whom he loves very much. Should he hang his mother's picture at home? Yeah. Who says yes and who says no? Who says yes? And who says no? And who says nothing? The picture has to be up or down. So, any representative of the yes group? Yes.
I'm the no.
Okay, can you speak for the no group?
Yeah. If the atheist thinks that he has a fear that all people die, they won't live again, why would he think of her? If she dies, he won't see her again.
Excellent. She died, she doesn't exist. It's not a matter of seeing her again. She doesn't exist because death means you end. Then they are doing to one another, they are contradicting one another. So every atheist, if his wife dies, if his son dies, if his mother dies, should take the picture out of his wallet and from his house and get rid of it, because this person doesn't exist anymore. Is this a good way of living? This is what the atheist has to live with. If he wants to live with this method, he has to be depressed. So what does he do? He says, أي كلام, لأنه according to his faith, after death, there's nothing, because there is no God, right? But why is he still hanging pictures? Because to live as an atheist, as atheists live, you're going to be very, very, very depressed. God is a source of joy, because your death is not the end of your existence. If this is the case, we're going to be so miserable. Once I die, I don't exist anymore. I'm nothing. I'm zero. So why were you born to begin with? If once you die, you don't exist, why are you born? What's the point of your existence? Are you guys getting the question? That your existence has no reason to begin with. We'll get deeper into this. You have a question? Yes.
Yeah, when he said that you always, once you die, you are reborn in a different universe.
That's a faith. That's a faith right there. You are reborn in this. Now, it would be great if he proves this. Multiple universes are arguments that people use, but if you talk to modern atheists, they themselves find it's very stupid. They don't use it anymore. Only one, I can't remember his name, only one professor in some university that still holds on to the concept of multiple universe. Like, for example, in another universe, you exist as a lawyer in another universe. A parallel universe, exactly. It's so bizarre. And you think proving parallel universes is doable? He has to prove it. Why do we have to prove God's existence and he cannot prove the parallel universe? You get the argument? So, please guys, when you get an answer, don't just take it and be quiet. Think about it. Sometimes they're very silly. Okay, so man, through getting rid of God, thinks that he's free, but actually he becomes an orphan. There is a difference between an orphan and a free person. When we get rid of our parents, may God protect your parents, you might think you'll have freedom. No, you will not. You'll be an orphan. You will feel lonely. So man, in getting rid of God, became very lonely, but he doesn't know. The US and Scandinavia and all these countries use antidepressants all the time because they use chemistry to adjust the balance because there's no God. Actually, the US is one of the most advanced religious countries, the developed countries. Okay, if there is no God, and hence directly follows that there is no afterlife, then the immediate conclusion is that man and the universe are doomed to death. There is no immortality, the end is just the grave. I exist. Sorry, the screen is not getting. But someday I will no longer exist. It will get. Okay, Big Bang Theory. This is what the universe is expanding and it's losing energy. Okay, when something is expanding and losing energy, after a while, what will happen to it? Huh? It dies. Thank you very much. It gets cold. Okay, if the universe will end into death and being cold, okay, why are we here? Why are we here? To an atheist has to explain this. They love the world, they love the universe, and the universe exists by itself. Okay, have you ever? Do you ever want to be in a train that's going off a cliff?
Yes.
Okay, in the station it says, the end point of this train, it will go off a cliff. Would you ride it?
Yes. Depends on the situation.
Would you ride that train? The universe, what's your name? Your name? Ramez. Ramez solved it for us very easily. The universe will get cold, it will end, because Big Bang, we know from the laws of thermodynamics that it's expanding, and it will be colder and colder. And there is no God, so it's going to go forever, till it gets completely cold and there's no life on it. That's the train going off a cliff. Now, would you want to be on that train? Would you want to exist in this universe? So, if God doesn't exist, the universe itself has no point. A very simple question you ask an atheist: what is the end of the universe? If he says, I don't know, he has to explain the point of the existence of the universe, not its beginning. The end is so, nobody thinks about the end, everybody thinks about the beginning. Please put it in your mind for an atheist when he talks to you. If we are in school billions and billions of years in time, because there is no God, so the world will continue going. But we know it gets colder. So when it gets completely cold and it ends, what is the point of its existence? He will not be able to answer, because there is no point for having a train that its last station is off a cliff. Yes?
But then what if he says in the first place the universe was an accident, so there is no point?
Accident, exactly. If, for an atheist, life has no point. That's his choice. Life has no point. That's his choice. Is that he reached a conclusion. What's your name, Habibi?
Myron?
Myron told us exactly the point by which an atheist lives. Life has no purpose. Life has no reason. Life is going to end in a cold, freezing universe. There is no sound of birds. There is no sound of rivers. There is no sound of any life. What was a Big Bang will be at the end, shh, and that's it. Then why the whole story? Why the whole story? We started by an accident and we ended into death. Does that make any sense? And then to make it even worse, there's a parallel universe. وانت عارف تشرح الأولاني لما هتقول التاني؟ Are you able to explain the first one and you're creating parallel universes? Are you guys getting the idea? So don't be scared when they come up with answers just because we don't see God. What they believe in, if you talk with them about it, will lead to a very depressing statement. Why atheists become atheists? Because of this word. And the projector is not on the wall. Yes, this word, freedom. Freedom. Unfortunately, God, for some people, is tying them down because He says no about some things for our benefit. And when somebody wants to live without any no, wants to do whatever they want, you know what's the easy thing is? Get rid of God. Do you guys agree with this? Who doesn't agree? I can discuss it. If you want to do any sin, or if you want to live free without anybody asking you any question about your faith, then what you will do is that God is the one who says yes and no to things, let me get rid of Him. And that's why lots of people become atheists. Yes?
But God gives us freedom.
To us, because we have Christianity. But if you think with another thought as they think, God is limiting because He says no to some things. Okay?
There's a question here.
There's a question. Any question? Guys, any comment about this?
Someone has a question.
Yes. Hey, Yusuf.
You had asked if there's no point to the universe, why don't we just suicide?
Why don't we just what?
Suicide.
Suicide?
There's no point.
Exactly. But that you hit a very good point. We're going to discuss it in next talk, which is atheists cannot live by their faith. It becomes very depressing. So they say, what? No, I can make a meaning out of my life. When they say I can make a meaning out of my life, it makes them feel good. But if you really want to live as an atheist, your life has no meaning. Because once you die, you don't exist. Are you getting the idea, Yusuf? Is that they say something, but the result of it will make them sad. So they do something else. Yeah, it's the setting of the projector, not the... Okay. Yeah. Actually, let me do the escape maybe. You guys can see this? Because if I go full screen, it won't appear. Okay. This is the Big Bang, by the way. You tell the person, we know that the universe expands. Hence, after a period of time, which means that over time it grows colder, stars will dim, and no longer there is a vibrant universe. There is no birds, there's no life. I'll come to your question. Because there is no God, man and the universe are doomed. Do you know what doomed means? Doomed, like the end is zero, death. Like prisoners awaiting execution. Somebody waiting for the electric chair. His life, he knows that it's finishing. So that's what, yes, you had a question.
Isn't an atheist's biggest argument that if there is a God, then why would He let everything bad in the world happen?
Yes, this is very, very, very good question. It's called the problem of evil. Why does evil exist? The topic of today, or of this retreat, doesn't cover it. It's a very big, if I put those both together, it's going to be completely, we will not catch anything. So what I'm putting here is these three things. Without God, life has no meaning, life has no value, and life has no purpose. And we're going to explain this. And guys, this is so important to feel valuable about yourself, because if you don't, you will think, if we don't know these three, we cannot be Christians. Christ gave our life a meaning. Christ gave our life a value. That's why He came, because He doesn't want us to die, and give our life a purpose. Okay, let me ask questions here.
Guys, listen.
What is the purpose?
Focus.
I want somebody to raise their hand and tell me, what is the purpose of their life? What is the purpose of your life? Any answer is acceptable. Yes. No, as a human. To die? That's the purpose? No. Yours. If we say outside, I'm putting you on the spot because it's very hard to explain a purpose outside of God. But let's say you believe in God and you're not Coptic Orthodox. What's the purpose of your life? What would it be? To go to heaven. Very good. Okay, so it creates a reason for living, right? There is something after that. Yes, Iki?
To serve God.
To serve God, yes.
To carry on the human race.
To carry on human rights, because God asked us to love your neighbor. Human rights come from the Bible. Love God to be the first, and love your neighbor as yourself. Yes, Yusuf.
Because God wanted someone to talk to, so we would spread the word so there would be more people in heaven with God.
Excellent. My purpose is to let more people know about God. Very good. What else? What else? Yes, Khalid.
To be more like God.
Yes, salam. Perfect. My purpose in life is to be more like God. Yes.
Okay, just be happy.
To be happy?
Yeah.
What's the difference between happiness and joy?
Very good question. No one from Central.
You don't have to answer, but okay. Yes.
You know that.
Happiness, it's just a moment. So joy is like forever.
Excellent. Joy is permanent, but happiness is temporal.
Why can't your purpose just be happy?
Sure, but joy is deeper, because what if you are happy?
Have joy.
I know, but happiness can be affected by the circumstances around you. Let's say you're very happy and God forbid somebody in the family departs. Can you be happy in this moment?
Why are you gonna be sad?
No, exactly. I agree with you, but it's natural feeling to be sad when somebody you love is not there anymore. You can't be in a funeral smiling and happy unless you're joyful or crazy. One or the other. I don't mean you, of course. What's your name? Carlos. Carlos, I am really happy that your goal in life that you're happy. So I'm not diminishing this at all. What else? What else? Okay. Let's start with the first one. There's a very tough word here called ultimate. What is ultimate meaning? Very difficult English word.
Very strong.
The word ultimate. I know that the topic is above your age a little bit, but at least we have to get an idea about it in order that we're not surprised. We have to know meaning, we have to know value, we have to be purpose. We can't just exist by going to church without answering this. We have an answer? Ultimate? Very good. It's the big meaning. Eternal is no start and no end, but ultimate means something very, very, very big. The big meaning. Okay. Let's listen to this thought a little bit. Life becomes ultimately absurd. It has no meaning if God doesn't exist. If each individual lives and passes out of the list of existing, for example, Abuna was here and then scratch his name because he's not here anymore. He died. And that's the end of the priest. Nothing else. Don't put his picture, don't remember his name, he's in dust. he doesn't exist anymore. Of list of existing humans, what ultimate meaning is there to this existence? Does it matter if he lived at all? Here's a question to you. If you don't exist after your death at all, why were you born to begin with?
Accident. They would say accident.
That an accident. So we are here because an accident happened?
That's what they think.
Exactly. So there is no. What's your name again?
Nobody allowed to leave.
Myron. So, if the existence was an accident, what is the point for your career? What is the point for having children?
To live life.
What is the point for having parents?
To live life.
What is the point? What is the point for to live life that is?
To live through the accident.
So this is a drug.
Drug.
It's a drug. I am accidentally in this world, and in order to pass it, I have to make a career, I have to make a contribution, I have to just live because I'm an accident that will end in death. Do you guys would like to be part of that faith? Does it make any sense to exist like this? That you're yeah, so they make it that we make up that the presence of God, and it's the opposite. iEvangelist, when you go talk to people, they will face you with, I don't believe in God anymore. Taban, it's going to be hard to go through this. This is for you. I'm not trying to make you lecture this to people, but you have to be not affected by the people who will answer you back. Yes, Myron.
So I was out with a couple of friends.
I asked Myron, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead. I was.
So I was out with a couple of friends Sunday, and they were arguing like, why are we on this earth, and like asking a lot of questions. So then I told them like God made us for a reason on this earth, and they kept on arguing that why did He make us? He made evil in this world. So.
Okay. God did not make evil. God did not make evil. Okay? Evil exists where God doesn't, not as a space. Give you an example. Very, very simple example. Very simple example. The presence of evil in the world, first diseases and all of these horrific things, they have a purpose. When we have diseases, it brings people together. Science advances. People support one another. So people are able to make out of evil something good. If everything in the world, for example, if we call disease as an evil, if everything in the world there is no disease, would there be medicine?
No.
Would there be doctors?
No.
Would there be hospitals?
No. Would there be science?
Would there be science? There's no need for it. There's no need for it. So in fact, mankind converted evil to something good. Are you guys convinced with this or not?
Yeah.
Very important. Because you are created in the image of God, you're able to convert out of a problem a solution. Don't they say behind every invention there's a need? Why are things invented? Because there's something absent that you wanted to happen, and you invented this thing to solve it. That's why there are inventions. Inventions make life better or worse. So God, guys, God, in His infinite power, when He made humans, He made them in a way that they can convert evil into what? Good. Into good. And the highest level of this, when He says in the book of St. Matthew, love your enemies. Exactly. This is why the Christians are the best people who can convert evil into good. But even at the scientific level, this is so. The existence of evil, in fact, shows how people are able to make better life out of it. Yes, Maya.
So that would also mean that without evil, atheists technically couldn't exist, because without evil, science couldn't exist, and that's what atheists base their life on.
No. You have to use the argument in one direction. Don't use it the backwards. Not every implication is bi-directional. So it's like saying that I need to have darkness in order to prove light. No, light proves itself by itself. Are you getting the idea? So you don't have to use it the opposite way. I don't have to have evil for advancement, because if evil didn't enter the world to mankind, Adam and Eve would have advanced much faster than it was evil. But not in the way we're advancing now. You know the evidence of this is what? How did Adam know how Eve was created, although he was asleep? Just to show you that God was going to advance Adam and Eve technically and mentally. Adam was asleep when Eve was created. He took a rib from his and he created Eve. And when Adam saw Eve, he said what? A bone of my bones and a flesh of my flesh. How did he know? He counted the ribs.
She was just like him.
Say your answer, Mikhail. He could feel it? What if it's the case? How could he? Okay, he could feel it. One of my ribs are missing and there is a woman right there. How could he understand it? How could he say it's from me? It could be an accident. How could he? Exactly. ربنا أمره. Exactly. Why am I saying this example? To prove to you that there's going to be advancement in mankind even if there was no evil. Are you getting the idea? They were going to get so much knowledge, but so much faster than now. Now we're still discovering the DNA and all of this. God would have extended to Adam very quickly how he did the creation. Because he told Eve how he did the creation. It doesn't mean that it was a simple explanation. It could have been very complicated, but it's written in the Bible in a simple way. Maybe God explained to Adam the DNA, but also the breath of God and the marriage that happened to Eve, because Eve didn't come from dust. Eve came from who? Adam. That's why we cannot get married except in the church, because the church is the only one, as the body of Christ, that can make two people into what? Into one. No one on earth can do it, except the power of the Holy Spirit in the presence of the priesthood of Christ. You cannot get married outside the church. It will be not marriage, because no one can make two into one except the church. I'm glad we're getting to this topic. Go ahead, questions.
Going to what he said, that God showed him that counting like birds and stuff.
Again, I'm saying this is a plausible explanation, but it makes sense, because Adam could not reach this conclusion easily. Yes.
How do the atheists still don't know about God? Because God created them, they think that it was like aliens.
It's called stubbornness. It's called insisting on what I know, because I don't want somebody to tell me no to anything, and that's God. Yes, Maya.
This is a little bit old, but so you said how how life has no purpose, but I've met a couple of people who think that the whole point of life is to leave a legacy, as in like, so the guy who invented cars, he left a legacy and
Okay.
he still uses cars today.
Okay. Do you guys hear Myron's question? The boy, let's have this is important. I will to leave a legacy. I have a very simple proof to you that we love the atheists more than they love themselves. An atheist says that my existence ends by my death. And we're telling him, no, we're trying to let you know that the legacy that you leave, you're going to see it from the other world. How cool is this? Which is better way to live? Myron, that answers your question? He says, I leave a legacy. So my contribution is for my life only. We tell him, no. With the existence of God, your contribution is even after your life. So Christians are trying to make purpose and a meaning out of an atheist life, because we love him more than he loves himself. Are you guys getting this idea? We are not debating with atheists. We are not debating with atheists. We love atheists. They say their life has no meaning and the death is end of it. But we'll tell them, no, we love you so much. Your life has a meaning after you what? After you die. Do you see the approach? Please, when you approach atheists, approach them with love. I am telling you how to make a meaning out of your life after you die. This is so important. We are not here to tell people you're less than us. We are not here to tell people we are better than you. Are you getting this idea? That's very important about iEvangelist. The most important thing, you don't go and tell a person, let me show you a faith because we're better than you. You know what? You know the number one thing he will do what? He'll leave you, you're insulting him. Are you getting this idea very clearly? Okay. I will show this slide. This is related exactly to what Myron asked, and I'll probably end here. There is more stuff that will come. Okay. What Myron is saying, to make a purpose for my life, I have to make contribution, which is called a small, because it's only in my life, and we're looking for the ultimate, which is the big one. If you affect others throughout your life, then it gives a small significance, not an ultimate. Ultimate means permanent. Means you can remember Isaac Newton till today. Does Isaac Newton see us?
No.
He does.
Yes?
Of course. His legacy lives. The Bible has a very nice verse about this. It says in Arabic, ذكرى الصديق تدوم للأبد. The memory of a saint lasts what? Forever. Thank you for the translation. So atheists, they want to contribute only, as Myron said, for this life. Christians are telling them, we're going to let you know that you can contribute for permanent life. Love the atheist. Don't debate with the atheist. If you love the atheist, it will touch his heart. Because atheists only deal with give and take. The love for them is not like what Christ did for us. Okay, let me finish this. Mankind becomes like a swarm of mosquitoes. What would be the difference between man and pigs and mosquitoes if they both die and there's no eternity? We have minds, and that makes it have a meaning. Very good. Yes.
But many people still say Adam and Eve don't exist. They don't believe
Now, don't get trapped into just Adam and Eve don't exist. How would just people, how are we here? Humans started by humans at some point. We call them Adam and Eve. You can call them any name. Right? To an atheist, how did human come into existence? The Big Bang. So it's an accident. So humans exist by an accident. This is...
sometimes history disagrees with
It's the science. When we get into the scientific of the genes and all of that stuff, we can answer also this progression from apes into but I'm trying to talk about philosophical. Yes, Kiko. The topic of evil. So Kiko wants to contribute about the topic of evil.
Guys, can you listen? Can we listen, please? We're about to finish.
Lots of people say that if there's a God that really cares about us, why are there people like murderers and stuff that and all these bad things happen? But it's because God, He wants us to all to have a choice and have like free will, and He doesn't want to control our lives. So that's why. So He's giving people who do those bad things the choice to be a good person again.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Because God respects your freedom, He gives you the choice to do whatever you want and gives you the chance to come back to Him. One thing I wanted to end with. Some examples that will tell you. Okay. Let's read very quickly these two examples. If God doesn't exist and you're just existing for no purpose. You are here, you're going to pass some time and then go to dust. You know, it's like two people having a very stupid conversation. Very pointless conversation. They're going to start a good conversation when a third person comes. Okay? They're talking, just chilling, saying any topic, anything, it doesn't have a point, waiting for a third person to come. What if the third person never comes? What will these two people do? Exactly. What's your name? David. These two people spent their time for no purpose. Because they are having a stupid conversation till the third person comes and the person will never show up. Is there any point for this conversation that they are having? That's the life of an atheist. A person just passing time till death comes. and there's nothing after it. Are you getting the idea? Okay, another example. You go to a play waiting for something to happen in a play. The curtain opens and you see junk. Just junk. Kitchen sink, shoes, paint, somebody's clothes, for 30 or 40 items. And the curtain is open for 30 seconds and then it closes again. And they tell you go home, the play is finished. This is called what? A rip-off, exactly. Your life is ripped off because you live it without a meaning. When you go to a play, when you go to a movie, you're expecting to come out of it with what? With something interesting, a story, something gets solved, a crime that gets answered, people who did something wrong and they get revenged, some story. Imagine you go to a movie, just a bunch of things appear on the screen, and they say it's all the end. This is called meaningless existence. An existence without a meaning. Are you getting the idea what it means to live as an atheist? An existence without a meaning. I am just passing time till the bell rings. What is the bell? How good is this life? If you have an atheist friend that you love, please approach him with this way. Do not approach him with debate about God's existence. This is the new thing I want you to learn in this retreat. Do not approach atheists. I am here to prove you wrong. Approach atheists by saying, I am here to make your life have what? A meaning after you. Exactly. Isn't that better? Tell him, forget about God and the commandments. Forget about the yes and no. Because most of the reason is the yes and no of God. Tell him, I want you to exist after your death. And the only way for this to happen is for God's existence. Make sense? So the number one thing, if you don't remember anything about iEvangelist, besides convincing yourself that your life has a meaning in God because you want to exist after your departure, and not just exist, you want somebody to hug you at the end. Come, you honest servant, live with me forever. And Kronos was telling us the happiness. Now, this is what Christ says, you will be joyful and nobody will take your joy away from you. Is anybody sad in paradise? Says, I wish I'm not here?
No.
You guys think that? If anybody passes away and goes to paradise and God tells him, your family wants you, do you want to go back or stay here? What do you think the answer would be? Stay here. Once you see the face of Christ, all of the things in your body, the body is in the kingdom of heaven when you acquire the celestial body, all of the things of your soul and spirit are so joyful, you don't want to leave that place. And this is really what we want to give our brothers and sisters, the atheists. Christians are the salt of the earth. Yani the salt of the earth. You are in your school to make it have a better flavor, not for you to get worse. Don't get affected by the outside. Please make a difference. Please, because in the last day, your name will be called and there's going to be a very nice list of achievements that will come with it. He converted this person. He forgave this person. He loved this person although he didn't love him to begin, and so on. Very nice list of good stuff. And this is what we want to give the atheist. So, iEvangelist is because we love you. We want your life to have a meaning even after you leave this place. For your deeds to follow you. This is only Christianity, that your deeds will follow you. According to your mercy, O Lord, and not according to our what? Our sins. Because we want the good deeds to be remembered. Yes, David.
Like, for the meaningless thing that you're talking about.
We're going to answer this question with pray.
For the meaningless talking that you had, what if it's like water that doesn't have any taste and they just take it for granted? And like, what would happen? What would happen when the atheists like die and they don't want to go to heaven? Like, what would he do?
What would he do? I don't have to do
What would
anything.
they?
Okay, David asked a hypothetical question because the atheist will have a big surprise. We know for sure that the atheists will have a big surprise after they depart, because they will see the face of Christ. Is anyone from your family has seen the Virgin Mary at Zaytun, the apparition on the top of the church of Zaytun?
Yeah.
Anybody has, like grandpa or something? I have a picture of it, not from the internet. I have a real picture from a camera, if you guys want to see it in free time, of St. Mary on Zaytun, not printed from the website. Nobody says, oh, this is just doctored or Photoshop or something. From the 60s, I have a picture from the 60s that really has St. Mary on top of the Zaytun. I will show it to you. Why did this happen? Why is St. Mary, what does that prove for us? If we need any proof. Yes, David talk, let me get another, sorry David. Yes.
It proves that there is people from heaven that are still alive.
Exactly. Exactly. In simplicity you can see it, and that's why I say I have it not from the internet. Who is this person? Very simple. This is St. Mary. Where is St. Mary? She's dead. Then why is she here? Oh, that's just you cannot be photoshopping the thing because it's really from a, that's why I keep it. Thank God I was a child and my parents kept it and I took it from them and I have it with me all the time. Here it is, a picture, not Photoshop. It's so old, it looks very old, not printed, with a very black and white, very clear figure on the top of the Zaytun, and all the church is white from the top. Very clear proof. And an atheist will say they are imagining, and there are thousands of people. And an atheist is just an ostrich. It just puts her head in the sand because it doesn't want to see the reality. He's very happy with other things. By the way, about iEvangelist also, you don't feel that you failed if somebody is not convinced. Please guys, you don't have to convert anyone. You have to show love. Are you guys getting the idea?
Yeah.
Show love. Show that you care. You're not there to convince or debate. Very important. People are attracted to Christianity by love, not by judgment. Don't judge anyone. Let's pray. We're going to end here. And if anybody else is interested in seeing, yeah, I have it here.
Thank you.
I can show it to you. Thank you very much.